And then even if they're in low positions, they will gather support by the grassroots, be propelled into higher positions. They can leak documents. They can whistleblow. They can bully pulpit. Yeah. They can sabotage globalist operations.
You have to be on the inside. I think it's the only solution. It's how our collectivist enemies took over this country. They didn't attack from the outside. They didn't send soldiers in wearing uniforms of a different color and different insignia. They didn't use bombs and bayonets. They took over the power centers of society one by one from right inside the country, and that's the only way we can reverse.
Cicero, one of the Roman historians, talked about the enemy at the gates with their flag openly is not the threat. It's the enemy from within.
Yes, so true.
But we are the cure from within.
Yeah. The cure is from within, too. So that's what Freedom Force is all about. We have the long view of history. We think that this can be turned around, but not by the next election. So it's a kind of a pessimistic view and an optimistic view at the same time. It's pessimistic in the sense that we'd all like to see a return to normalcy and prosperity and safety and all of that. We'd like to see that happen real fast. But it's not going to happen real fast. But the optimistic point is that if we lay the foundation today, if we get people to understand the basic principles of freedom, and if we get them organized and networked together so they can go into the power centers of society, including the political parties, but also the church organizations, the schools.
That's what FEMA's doing. They're doing what we should be doing, quietly taking over. The UN document came out last week where over a decade ago they took over the public schools locally, brainwashing the kids. But it's not pessimistic. It's honest. What's pessimistic is people wanting an instant solution, a silver bullet. It's got to happen today. No, resistance is victory. The truth is victory. Taking action. I've been doing this 14 years. You've been doing this 40 plus years. And just the process of like a woodpecker, always attacking, always educating, always resisting. Over time, it builds an exponential force that is unstoppable. But people like, well, I went out and protested once, or I went to city council once, or I tried to run and didn't win once. Well, so did Ron Paul. It's all a process, and we have to realize that they're trying to bend our will. We've got to push and bend right back, because it's when you don't give up and keep pushing that you're an unstoppable force. All right, we've got this segment and part of the next. And then we've got a guest joining us from Copenhagen in the last 20 minutes of this transmission. G. Edward Griffin is in studio with us. He's going to be speaking at Brave New Books tonight in Austin, Texas at 7 p.m. And then at the Courtyard, Austin Downtown Convention Center, 300 East 4th Street, Austin, Texas, 78701, 512-236-8008. Saturday, December 12th. The registration begins at 8:30 a.m. because you don't need to go through the registration. You can come at 8:30 for coffee and pastries, or get there at 9:30 as Mr. Griffin starts his presentation at 9:45. Don't want to miss that Saturday in Austin, Texas. Okay, we're getting in a long view of history. I think these victories against the Federal Reserve, though, exposing them, their polling numbers going down to less than 20%, the environmentalists being unmasked as private corporate takeover artists, all of this is showing the people, though, that we can have victory. I mean, I'm seeing the morale go up. Being a public figure, I get off airplanes in Latin America, Canada, towns all over the U.S., and literally cars stop as I walk down the street, people everywhere, and I'm just one guy, and it's getting insane. I mean, it's like I've got a major sitcom on television or something. I'll be out with Charlie Sheen on the streets of Los Angeles, and people running up to him, they're running up to me. It's happening. I mean, really, that's a sonar ping that it's bigger than we think, G. Edward.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that. And, of course, the theme that I focus on is that the long view of history is very, very comforting, at least to someone at my age. I don't know, a younger person. I remember when I was a lot younger, I was in a bigger hurry than I am now. But it's comforting to know that you and I are putting in place principles and organizational structures and strategies that cannot be stamped out. I don't care how strong the engines of tyranny are. They cannot overpower the force of the knowledge and the principles that we're building right now. And that is going to it's going to build through the next generation, and I think the following generation after that. It sounds like a far distance down the road, but it's not that far. I think we're going to see this whole thing turn around within that length of period. And that's very comforting. I can go to bed at night and really sleep well, thinking that I have a part.
But they are racing to put the technocracy in place, but that we told the truth, had a testament of who the bad guys were, and what and what liberty could be, those seeds, billions of them have been planted, millions have sprouted. But tyranny is almost like water and sunlight to liberty. When it comes in, for every action, there's an equal reaction.
I agree with that. And that I guess we should say it's fortunate that we live in these tumultuous times, even though it may be rather hectic for us. Still, if we didn't have all the problems we have today, people would still be asleep. They wouldn't be thinking about the ingredients of freedom. They wouldn't be thinking about what it takes to be free. They wouldn't be thinking about our heritage. They wouldn't be thinking about economic issues.
That there was a choice, another option.
Yeah, because everything was comfortable. Everything was easy, you know. So if we want to put in place something that's going to have this long view, we need a lot of help, a lot of support. That means we need to wake up a lot of people. So in that sense, this growing tyranny is our ally. But we still have to stamp it out. We're not going to let it grow, that's for sure.
And we have to make sure the enemy doesn't plant counterfeits out there to misdirect people. The globalists are masters of creating infighting with people that don't like the system. We need to really not spend time on that.
That's right. Yeah, we know that they're doing that. That's a favorite strategy, and we've seen it all throughout history. I know a little bit about the Federal Reserve System, and the first time I came across that strategy in the economic field was in the evolution and the origin of the Federal Reserve. The very people that conceived the Federal Reserve, then having got it proposed and an actual bill going before Congress, then they started to lead the opposition against it in such a way that it was bound to fail. You see what I'm saying? If you lead your own opposition, then you can make sure that it will fail.
Well, there was more to the trick, and I know you know this, but why don't you elaborate? They came out and acted like they were the bankers and said, we don't want this. Yeah. Please don't throw me in the briar patch.
Right. Yeah, they said this Federal Reserve bill is not good for business, it's not good for America, but they did this as bankers. And they knew that when that story got into the news, people would say, hey, Maude, look at this. These big bankers don't like this Federal Reserve System very much. Must be a good bill. You know, they knew that that would be the reaction of the average person. So they're clever, they're smart. They didn't get to be in the positions of power that they are by being stupid. But we, on the other hand, can't be stupid either. We must understand that people do that. They do provide false leadership. They do present false images out there, just deliberately to trick the mind of the average.
Absolutely. Stay there. Tom Harris joining us in about 8 minutes. He's there at the Copenhagen World Government Summit. I tell you, all this mainstream media that's still trying to say there's no world government, they look really stupid. As the UN and others openly announce it, they haven't quite gotten their propaganda together. I think it's great. But G. Edward, in the last 6-7 minutes we have with you, I want to give you the floor. We were talking during the break. You said it is really coming to a head. And I agree with the long view of history. They're not going to give up overnight. But I've given the analogy of ClimateGate being the Death Star plans getting out, and now with their whole program in disarray, the Death Star's blown up. But there's still Imperial Star Destroyers. The Empire's still occupying all our systems. They're still in all our nations. But it's shown the rebellion that if we can blow up one of their biggest operations in the info war, we can destroy these people. We can defeat them with the truth.
That's so true. And what can I add to that, except that the thought that's always on my mind is it's relatively easy for people to know what they don't want. We can see this growing tyranny. We can see the lies. We can see the deceit. We can see the increasing taxes. We can see the devastation of our purchasing power of our monetary unit. We can see the dumbing down of the kids in school. We can see all of these things, and we know we don't want that. And so it's easy, relatively easy, to get people networked together and organized together. We're going to fight this. We're going to bring these people down. I long to hear people talk about what are we going to replace it with. I want to hear more.
Congress controlling our currency, cutting down the size of government, getting state sovereignty, getting rid of the government-run public schools, not making the superheroes be sports people or actors, but being inventors again, getting back to a Renaissance society.
Exactly. And also even deeper than that, we could go and talk about political principles. What is the proper function of the state? What is the ideal system? Where did our system go wrong, or did it go wrong? These are the things that I want to hear more in the debate. And I recognize you have to mobilize people on the flashpoint, the anger point. You know, this is what they don't like. But the reason I created Freedom Force, as you so well know, is because I wanted people to think about the political and ideological principles, the things that we should be building into the system after we recapture control of it, and we have a chance to create a better system. What will it be? What would it look like, you see? And I always want people to learn and think about the differences between collectivism and individualism. I want to hear those words used more often.
And we've got to educate people the horrors of collectivism. We know this animal kills people, enslaves people. Misery and pain is its children.